All right, we here, peoples. JV Wins, Dogon SS. Appreciate you for tuning into our videos on the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. We certainly thank you for the support. As always, if you enjoy the content that we put out on this channel, do your boys a big old solid, hit that like button. We certainly appreciate it. But moreover, we appreciate you being a part of the community, and we certainly do appreciate hearing what everyone has to say with regard to our commentary in the videos. We enjoy the engagement and the dialogue, so please, by all means, keep it coming. Now, with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get straight away into it. As you can see, first topic of the day, we are talking about, at this point, I don't even think we can call this person a friend of the channel. She's more like family at this point. You know, I really do, for anyone out there who is wondering when are we going to stop with the Brittany Renner topics, just so that you are aware, I really do try to leave it alone, but they keep putting her on all of these platforms that have a lot of followers and viewers and a decent viewership. And so I can't help myself because she keeps saying things that are so incredibly content worthy. And this, of course, is no exception. So Brittany Renner joined Shannon Sharpe on his Club Shay Shay show. And of course, because that's what happens nowadays when you bring Brittany Renner onto your platform, the conversation inevitably shifted to her dating history and the choices that she has made thus far in her life with respect to, what she has done in the industry and writing her book and how she is navigating being a single mother, but still being this prime dating candidate that she upholds herself to be. That's what every conversation inevitably gears itself towards whenever Brittany Renner is brought onto any of these shows. But what we wanted to talk about on this particular episode of the Conscious Approach channel is Brittany Renner's comments with respect to how she slept with 3 men in 24 hours and came out of that experience in her eyes relatively unscathed. So we are going to just go ahead and get right into it. I don't need to really preview what she had to say any more than that. I'm just going to go ahead and play the video and you all can see it for yourself. So here are Brittany Renner's comments, of course, originally prompted by Shannon Sharpe himself.
I remember when I'm trying to think, I don't know if you said it on a radio show or TV show about your dating prowess. You was with 1 man, 2 men, 3 men, 4 men over the course of a 24-hour, 48-hour span. Did you think about the ramifications of how people, men, women, everybody would look at you? Because, or does that not bother you? Or you learn to tune that out?
So you're referring to, or I can actually recall it perfect for you. There was a video that I did in my car where I was talking about how I had sex with 3 men in a day, and
Yes.
then I ended up getting a yeast
Yeast
infection.
infection, yes.
I came out pretty unscathed for just the yeast infection,
Right.
considering what I could have gotten. It wasn't that, oh
Well,
man, I
you
hope.
couldn't get out of it. I mean, they talk
Oh,
about
I was on birth control for 10 years before I had my son. I got off of it because there was a conversation with my child's father.
Right.
So I again, the whole trapping thing, can't trap the willing, babe. And on top of that, I never wanted to have a. I looked at kids as
you
crotch
never wanted
goblins.
you never wanted a baby daddy. You wanted to be a mom. You didn't want to be a
Yes.
baby mama. You wanted to be a
And
wife.
that's why I waited so long. I had my baby when I was 29. I thought I was doing it right. I thought that was my guy. And I never really liked kids. I always thought I referred to them as crotch goblins, to be honest. But as I got older, I wanted one. But so I think about the ramifications
Yes.
of telling people that I had sex with multiple men. Yes, I don't care. It's the truth. If you don't see me as a potential dating person, then great. One less heart to break. Leave me alone, and I'm going to continue to live my truth.
But you do understand, Brittany, that's hard for men. Look, like you said, public versus private. Now, if you and I having a conversation, and you're sitting here, we have a conversation, and you say, well, Shannon, I slept with this many men. Okay, that's one thing. That's between you and I. But to have that conversation and then everybody, Sam, John, and everybody else knows it, that's a whole different ball, Brittany.
Sam and
That
John.
is 100% a whole different ball game. He is, of course, correct about that. I do agree with her on one thing she said, though. You cannot trap someone who does not want to be trapped. I do tend to agree with that. But that's about where my agreement with her ends. So, what did you think about that, sir? 24 hours, 3 dudes, yeast infection. And she says she came out pretty good considering what could have happened.
Wow. Where do I begin? First of all, I would just like to say that it's disgusting. Let me just go ahead and throw that out there. Also, I would just say that that's typical sex worker numbers. She neglected to tell us how much she made during that 24-hour span. It's probably a healthy bag. The only thing healthy out of that exchange. For her to say that the only thing that she was getting out of this was a yeast infection and, unscathed is her words. I call cap on that. I mean, maybe from this experience, maybe just a yeast infection, but I can pretty much surmise, unfortunately, what that box was going on with that. The bacterias and other things that's going on from too many genitalias in there. It doesn't matter how pretty the package is. Sometimes once you unearth that box, sometimes it's still not up to par as the rest of the body. So for her to say yeast infection, maybe some this is the word from last week, I think, but some vaginosis action going on. So listen, man, when you're dealing with a bucket like this, this is par for the course. I honestly, I wasn't surprised. I don't even think that was her highest numbers in a 24-hour span to keep it a buck. But I just think that this is just typical sex worker numbers. There's no shame in her game. She kind of pushes the envelope in the female way, like kind of how Future does in the male realm, the rapper realm, where the most ratchet shit that I can say, but one thing about her is, well, she's actually living this life, but she's pushing the envelope because she's like she's a byproduct of what's been going on in society. She's one of these new people and one of these new age floors. So for her to constantly push the envelope of, you're not going to shame me for my sexual activities, you're not going to shame me, I'll just let it all out there. And she walks around with these stories as a sense of pride, which is concerning for me, for anybody who's watching this on the female end, who thinks that their slorish behavior gets a pass because, well, Brittany Renner is doing it and she's coming away relatively unscathed. So I think, again, as usual, Renner up to her usual dangerous rhetorics. So how do you feel about this whole exchange here? 3 men in a 24-hour span.
Yeah, I largely agree. I largely agree with you. And and it's funny too. I think the last time that we talked about Renner, I think I predicted that she would be a cast member on Basketball Wives, and I was just throwing that out there because I was basically saying that my observation of her has basically been that of a basketball wife. She's just not actually on a television show, but she conducts her life and she does her speaking engagements as though she's filming a scene from reality television. And lo and behold, I don't even remember what I had my TV on, but she is actually going to be on the new season of Basketball Wives. So I kind of feel quite prophetic in my prediction therein because I called it. And although at the time I called it as sort of a funny kind of long shot, turned out to be true. She does actually conduct her life this way, and it is reaping fruit for her in the physical realm, so to speak. My biggest issue with Renner with this kind of stuff, because I agree that it is dangerous rhetoric, but I don't really look at her per se. And you said something that I wanted to touch on because it's pretty much the crux of my point. It's how much pride she speaks in the manner that she does when asked these questions. Now, on the
Mhm.
one hand, she is not allowing herself to have skeletons in her closet. No one can unearth dirt from your past if you've already put your past out on Front Street. So from that standpoint, she's kind of putting herself in a lane where she can't have to ask to be absolved for her past sins, because we already know what her sins are because she tells us, and she does it with glee. But the fact that she does it with glee, to me, is what's most concerning. But the reason why she does it with such glee is because she knows that in the long run, she will not ultimately be penalized for it. And the reason why she ultimately won't be penalized for it is because she knows that despite her baggage, what she has admitted to publicly, the fact that she has admitted to being with 3 dudes in a day and getting a yeast infection, she knows that despite doing this, despite writing these books, okay, despite going onto college campuses and lecturing young professional athletes on how to not get flexed by women just like her, despite going on to college campuses and putting out tweets saying hide your sons, she knows that despite doing these things, there will nevertheless be a decent line of men waiting in the wings to date her. So ultimately, the penalty that she will have to pay for this behavior is almost non-existent. There's no penance for her. And that's the thing about it, is I don't even really look at her. I look at the dudes who pick up this scrap metal. So all of these guys out here who date Amber Rose after she's admitted to doing what she's done, orchestrating slut walks and embracing, their inner slore. She's no different. She's like an ancillary manifestation of that. You feel comfortable enough in your own skin to behave in a certain way when you are confident that the ultimate penalty that you will pay for it isn't enough to prohibit you from doing it. So she knows that she doesn't really have to sit down and make the decision to not speak in this manner, because at the end of the day, the chances that she can get what she wants, which in my opinion, by all accounts, is a high value guy, high value in terms of earning, not high value in terms of personality or character. She knows that despite the fact that she does all of this publicly, she can still attain that.
Right.
God only knows what her DMs look like still, despite all of this. There was another video that I saw that I didn't even put on this. Like, I didn't even use this particular piece of content within this topic, although I could have, where you had Mano, the rapper, basically defending her. And saying that, he, in a roundabout way, he was saying that, she shouldn't be castigated for her comments, and that he'd be right there to kind of, shoot his shot if he could. And that's one person. So you can imagine how many more of these dudes out here, these weak dudes, these weak blue pills, who despite all of this would still date her. And if all of these guys are still willing to date her, she knows this. There's ultimately no penalty for her. So why not say whatever the hell I want to say? Why not admit to these things? I'm not going to have to pay a penance. And that's the crazy thing about this, is when you're dealing with this society in which there are no consequences for free sex, in which when we are in this society of free sex, no consequences, and these individuals don't have to pay a penance, and we are, wholly embracing social anarchy, you're going to have people like her who can do whatever she wants. And so the thing about it is, like, I don't even want to make it seem as though I'm condemning her into perpetuity, because everyone deserves the right to be able to live however they want to live. It's this attempt to misconstrue this into mainstream normalized behavior. That's where the part of it becomes suspect and dangerous. But the rhetoric will continue to ensue so long as people like her know that there will be no penalty paid for doing so. So there's I could imagine there's all sorts of rappers still, NBA players and NFL players still, other dudes in the entertainment industry, even guys who might work in various other industries who earn a lot of money, they're still trying to holler at her. They still want some of that. And I would imagine that there's a decent percentage of those guys who would consider her in terms of being a dutiful girlfriend and wife. They would seriously date her.
Oh man.
And at that point, it's like, okay, well, people, what are we doing here? Like, where is the standard for self-respecting men in modern American society? The answer is there is none. It's completely eradicated at this point. And that's the sad and unfortunate part. So I look at her and I'm kind of relatively disgusted with what she is saying, but I'm also used to it because she talks like this all the time. But in the back of my mind, what I'm saying to myself is, she so brazenly speaks this way because she knows she's never going to have to pay a penance for it. These dudes going to be lining up to date her regardless. And that's the unfortunate part.
I mean, I don't see how they would like actually date her.
They would. I think they would.
I know some clown would. I don't see why they would do that. I mean, that still boggles the mind, because I don't know in what context are they dating her. Are they expecting her to be loyal or something? Like, are they expecting her DMs to not still be jumping and her to still be doing weird stuff on the side? Like, why would you take her seriously in a romantic sense? You know, so that's the part about it that's having a disconnect. But I do believe you, some clown's going to do it. And that's part of her whole branding tour in the first place, of her going on all these pods and, you know, like you mentioned, going to be a housewife. She has a good brand and she's a staple. So it's Pepsi, there's Cola, there's Dr. Pepper, there's Brittany Renner, and there's Amber Rose. You know, she's part of this generation's, you know, buzz names, if you will. And she's been doing a great job, if to be honest, of branding herself as a slore, a shameless slore at that. And so for her to sit here and talk about her yeast infection, which I still call cap on that. All right. She, as far as we're concerned, that's the only thing she's got transmitted. Right. So whenever she decides to admit a truth, but give you cap in the same time, you know, it's just like, she's still putting up a front of, I'm clean, even though I slored. And, you know, that's the part about this that I feel like is bullshit, to be honest. But be that as it may, she's going to keep hitting the airwaves. She's going to continue to be a personality for the 21st century. And whenever there's an archive in the future where people look back at viral moments and stuff like that, Brittany Renner is going to be a trivia question or a trivia answer to some bizarre, goofy stuff. Hey, who had sex with 3 men in 24 hours? Oh, damn it! I remember. Was it Amber Rose? No. Was it Jenner? You know, Brittany Renner. I knew it was close to Renner. I just didn't know which one it was. Yeah, that's Brittany Renner for you. She's going to be a trivia question in the future about how many people done banged that. And I also in that interview, she also gave up her body count. Mm-hmm, I didn't catch that part of it, but I know it was outrageous enough to make Shannon take a swig of his own whiskeys.
It was 35. According to her,
which is cap as well. And if you're doing 3 and 24-hour spans, which are sex worker numbers, I would argue that she did more than that. You know, back in my days as a cab driver, I had a customer. She was a worker. All right. So one day I'm taking her to locations. All right. So I take her off to one spot. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm going to drop you back off at the crib. Nah, she's got another date. So she goes from one date to the next. About time she came back from the fourth one. Oh, yeah, it was 4 people. One night. About time she came back from the fourth I was already ingesting odors. But by that fourth one, I'm assuming that person put it in the tailpipe, because the odor that came in the car was outlandish. Now, when you're dealing with these buckets, they accumulate more than a yeast infection, is my point. And I honestly think that she was doing high-end sex work. So 35 is cap, yeast infections cap. But when you're dealing with slurs, that's their language, right? Literally in all caps. Everything's bold, all right? And a bold-faced lie. So anything that Renner has to say, I'm not buying it. Take it with a grain of salt. Is she a slore? Yes. And she's going to sit here and still cape for herself to make it seem like she's not that bad. You know, girls that got more than 35 bodies, guys, and you still deal with them. Come on, jive with this. That's her whole little shtick and angle. But she's not fooling me. She never has. And anything that she's trying to come up with or trying to make herself seem more whatever, I'm not condemning her for the life that, you know, whatever. I'm just calling a spade a spade.
Right.
And don't be on my table saying I'm a queen of hearts. Girl, you're not. All right. You know, you run around here like, you know, two of spades, you know, three of spades, you a spade, shawty. So I don't have nothing much to say to her, you know, outside of, hey, keep doing your thing, apparently. And if people will keep rocking with it, you know, like you said, some goofballs like Mano, who the hell is that? Mano's so damn thirsty. He needs that attention. He wants some Brittany Renner in his life. But and she don't want no Mano either. You know, she wants high end. And she's going to find herself a sucker. I already know it. And when that day happens, huh?
No, I'm saying she's going to get it. She's going to get what she wants.
She's going to find herself a sucker. Oh, yeah.
She will, man. Ultimately, she will get what she wants. I firmly believe that. And when you know that you can act, it's like a child, you know, like if you don't teach your kid responsibilities and discipline and you just reward them despite their bad behavior, they're going to keep acting out. And then as a parent, you wonder why you got a badass man child on your hands. Well, it's because you didn't teach them that there are consequences for actions when they were ripe with, you know, at the point in their life in which they're supposed to learn that lesson. It's no different. Like, I used to balk at the notion that there's even a such thing as toxic masculinity, because my contention with that term was that, no, you're not going to tether my masculinity to being inherently toxic. Those are just bad people. Don't tie that to their masculinity. That's just them being bad people. And I always used to say, you cannot have one without the other. So if we're going to acknowledge the existence of toxic masculinity, we must therefore acknowledge the existence of toxic femininity. You can't have one without the other. You cannot have toxic masculinity, but then make this assertion that women cannot be toxic. So my thing with this is people like Brittany Renner, in my opinion, are examples of toxic femininity if we are going to acknowledge the existence of toxic masculinity. So if people like Future and Harvey Weinstein are toxically masculine, and all of these other people who commit these devious acts that we kind of want to condemn because it's like bad dude, you can't treat women like that, you can't do this, you can't do that. Okay, fine. Those guys are toxically masculine, but she therefore is toxically feminine for this kind of stuff. As is the rest of these women who talk like this, these vagina rappers, people like Erica Mena, these reality TV slores, all of these individuals, they're all toxically feminine. You can't have one without the other. So I am willing to at this point, I am finally willing to acknowledge that there may be a such thing as toxic masculinity, but that is only under the parameters that you acknowledge that there is toxic femininity, because this chick, in my opinion, is toxic. But then again, the difference is men who are branded toxic can have their careers and livelihood stripped from them. Women who are branded toxic seem to benefit from said toxicity. So, you know, the seesaw continues, and I don't understand that dynamic, but be that as it may, you can be a woman who is toxic inherently, and I don't want to hear anything otherwise.
And my last words here, fellas, is say no to these slurs. Not even for a dilly daddle. I think there just needs to be some level of, you know, working on self-discipline in the aspect of, you know, not this time, you know, and just keep telling yourself, no, not this time. It's kind of like a eating out habit, you know. You just used to eating out. And it's like, yeah, I can make food out, or I can eat out. No, bro, just say, don't eat out. And just keep telling yourself no enough, and eventually you won't like those posts. Eventually you won't DM slide. And eventually you won't find, you know, the Renner antics or anybody similar to her appealing anymore. it'd actually be grotesque as it is. So yeah, fellas, try to work on that. It's a good little exercise, and you'll come out better in the long run. So
Yeah, I concur wholeheartedly. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Brittany Renner.
Crazy, bro.
uh,
Next up, we are going to talk about Colin Kaepernick and Charlamagne. Charlamagne does not approve of Colin Kaepernick's recent attempt to get a look by an NFL team. So for anybody who is not aware or is not following this particular story, excuse me, Aaron Rodgers, starting quarterback for the New York Jets, tears his Achilles. He goes down. Colin Kaepernick writes this lengthy letter and addresses it to the owner of the New York Jets, asking for a tryout and a look. And basically what Kaepernick was saying is, best case scenario, you bring me on because you feel like I can help the team. Worst case scenario is you say thanks, but no thanks, and we all move on with our lives. J. Cole, he sort of helped galvanize Kaepernick's effort by putting this letter onto his own page. So that's a little aside, in regards to that. But Charlamagne actually spoke on this because he does not approve of the fact that Kaepernick is still trying to earn a spot on an NFL roster, despite Kaepernick's lengthy history with the NFL. So first, we'll go ahead and share this. This is an article from Hot New Hip Hop. It says Charlamagne the God slams Colin Kaepernick for Jets letter, quote, pathetic. Charlamagne the God called out Colin Kaepernick during an episode of The Breakfast Club earlier this week. In doing so, he labeled the former NFL star's letter to the New York Jets downright pathetic. Kaepernick reached out to the organization for a chance to play on their practice squad in the wake of Aaron Rodgers' Achilles injury. Quote, I wish that letter was never written, he said on the show. That letter was tragically sad and downright pathetic. Colin Kaepernick has let his setback become his identity, and I hate that for him. It pains me to see that man still begging to be in a league that he called racist and he compared to a plantation. So those are some of Charlamagne's brief comments, but we'll also play a clip of Charlamagne saying some of this stuff. So check this out. This is a screen share from Marca TV. So here's Charlamagne voicing his displeasure over Kaepernick writing that letter to the Jets organization.
Fair use.
Fair use indeed.
Charlamagne.
That letter was never written. That letter was tragically sad and downright pathetic. Colin Kaepernick has let his setback become his identity, and I hate that for him. God exalted Colin Kaepernick into a position of leadership in regard to activism, and it pains me to see that man still begging to be in a league that he called racist and compared to a plantation. And I hate that he can never speak for himself. He always got somebody else speaking for him or putting out his messaging for him. That's so whack to me. I wish Colin the best in all his endeavors, but this begging, these same people you called racist for an opportunity is pitiful.
I just don't like it.
Pitiful.
I'd rather him go to, what's the other league that they created? The XFL league or any other league. But the fact that they boxed him out,
Honestly,
they don't want him in the league. Like, that's clear.
Very clear. And I asked earlier in the room, like, how good of a football player was he? Because the way that they just threw him out after all that, you would think that he was good.
He was a good player.
I heard he was
It
good.
don't even matter. It's been
player.
7 years, and God exalted Colin Kaepernick into a position of leadership.
Now understand.
Literally.
All right, that's enough. So, and I don't know who that girl is that they got on there. I don't really watch the Breakfast Club like that, but do your research. Like, you don't even know if he was good or not. Like, jeez. But yeah, Charlamagne don't like it, and of course he was co-signed by Envy. So what were your thoughts on those comments?
I mean, it's rare. I mean, it's not really rare to disagree with Charlamagne. I agree with him, honestly, on a lot of things. He's just, to me, still a jackass. But in this context, I do agree with him here. I do think it's pathetic. I do think he needs to cut it out. My whole thing is, how feasible is this? Even if they do say, yeah, you're signed, you've been out of the league, they say 7 years. The league is a moving train, bro. It is a moving train, and you haven't gone anywhere. You're not keeping up with this locomotive. And for you to just try to hop on this moving train, boy, you're going to hurt yourself. Honestly, I think it'll embarrass yourself. So playing in the NFL is not a joke. Those are some supreme athletes. And so even if this was a realistic thing, I still don't think it would work due to the fact of him being so far removed from the game. I mean, he's missed so much. The whole angle of him calling the NFL, racist and a plantation, in which it is. Yeah, it is what it is. He wants his job back. I don't know what job you work for. I'm not talking about you, but anybody.
You're right, yeah.
But most likely at the top, there might be somebody up there that's a racist. And most likely they're running that Fortune 500 company or whatever company as a plantation. Rent don't stop. Bills don't stop. People need income. Now, most people who would say that their job is whatever X, Y, and Z, they would still report. They're still applying for another plantation job with higher, wages and, better benefits. So there's a lot of people hopping on plantation to plantation and, slave owner to slave owner, if you will, and they don't get down with racism. So that angle so much is kind of like, who really cares about that so much? But I think the big part about it, what Charlamagne's getting at, is him making such a big stink about all of this on such a public platform. And like how he said, God exalted him into a position of leadership. Bro, you don't need to be a quarterback for an NFL team anymore. Actually, being a leader and the civil rights activist and all that other stuff supersedes athleticism. But in order, I don't know where his mind at, in order to throw a football or somebody who's dribbling a basketball or something like that, you can have more impact outside of the game than playing a sport. And especially if the reason why you don't play that sport anymore is because institutional racism and all these other things combined was so obviously against you that you now have a whole life, career, and brand that you can go and run with. So for him to, in air quotes, turn his back on that and to try to play in a league year after year, like, I'm getting tired of this. And for him to write this letter, to me, I thought it was kind of bogus. J. Cole, I guess he tried the whole Caleb Martin for the Heat thing, and hey, I got some industry pull, so let me try to see if I can work some mojo. Hey, even J. Cole, like, I still think all of that's pretty low. I'm not really a fan of none of that. But how do you feel about this? Do you agree with Charlamagne the God, or do you believe that he's blowing smoke here?
Yeah, I'm largely with Charlamagne and with you for that matter. See, the problem with what Kaepernick did is, and I said this when it happened way back in, what was that, 2017 when it originally happened. I felt as though the strategy was ineffective, but I don't blame him, because here's the thing with him. I don't think he thought this thing through. Like, the thing with Kaepernick is Kaepernick himself never was protesting the NFL. He was protesting societal injustice. He was using the NFL stage to do it on. And it kind of ended up blowing up in his face, because the ensuing narrative was a conflation of societal injustice and the NFL. And people had huge issues with that. And as a result, he was ostracized. I really do think that if you sit him down and you ask him if he had it all over to do it again, would he have done it different? He would admit that he would do it differently. I don't really think he thought it through. I don't disagree with what he was doing, but the thing about it is, you didn't have an issue with your employer, but he didn't think about the fact that other people would interpret what he was doing as having an issue with his employer. And so as a result, he sort of became a pariah. And then he was like offhandedly blackballed by the NFL. Not necessarily because the NFL, even though I do agree with you, I think the NFL is rooted in certain aspects that are tantamount to being a modern day plantation. But so is the majority of the working
Right.
structure of capitalism,
Right.
especially in America. So the NFL is no different than any other institution that you or I work for. It's no different than any other Fortune 500 company. It's
Right.
no different. Like that, it's all the same. So I agree with you in principle on that front, but he wasn't necessarily saying the NFL is about this. He was just saying, let's call attention to this in the world. But he became a pariah because people interpreted what he was doing as calling the NFL racist per se. And people don't like that because they love their NFL. And what the owners did was they said, hey, bro, you're bad for business and my money. So I can't have you here because I can't jeopardize my $1 billion organization.
Exactly.
So he was blackballed not because they were colluding to get rid of him because of his beliefs. He was blackballed because he was bad for money, bad for business. These people don't care about this stuff. They just don't want you to hurt their bottom line. If they perceive you as an individual who can hurt their money, you're done. That's it. No one is above that. Nobody, himself included. So he didn't think that all the way through. And because he didn't think it all the way through, he found himself on the outside looking in. But in his heart of heart, he truly doesn't have a problem with the NFL. He really doesn't. He doesn't. Now, him calling it a plantation and calling the NFL racist was definitely a result of his frustration over the aftermath of what happened. But I personally do not believe that he really does feel that type of way about the NFL, or at least he didn't back then. Maybe he does now. Who knows? But I think that this has all been a result of an ill-employed strategy on his part. And because he's aware that it was an ill-employed strategy, he's now trying to curry favor and make these attempts to get back in. But bro, you can't call people racist to their face and expect them to just let you back in like that. Like, good luck with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of the in racisms and love crap that they put on the field and on the back of helmets ain't gonna be enough to get you back in there when you basically spat in these dudes' faces, which is kind of what he did. So you kind of reap what you sow in that regard. And the thing about it is, where Charlamagne comes in, and I do agree, and you also made a point to mention this as well. Yeah, bro, you might just have a higher calling. So in lieu of you having this higher calling, it doesn't behoove you to grovel to be on a practice squad for a losing franchise, no less. Like, you're making yourself look worse. You know, like, you really got to look at people. And I brought her up before, and I'm going to bring her up again because she did it the right way. Maya Moore was willing to make the sacrifice, and she did. Kaepernick clearly was unaware. He was not aware that he'd be making a sacrifice. And now that he has inadvertently made said sacrifice, he wants to undo what he did so he can get back in and play again. Bro, it don't work that way. So now you need to take a cue from Maya Moore's book and just go full board with your activism. Maya Moore quit her WNBA career in the prime of her career, winning championships and MVPs to actually try and make a difference out here in the world. And she ain't going back. So, like, you need to understand that maybe this is what your lane is now. But writing letters to owners to play on the practice squad for a losing franchise, frankly, at this point, is beneath you. And it does make you look bad, especially given the fact that what you did initially, in my eyes, was a poorly instituted strategy. So I kind of feel like he needs to just let it go. Because he's not doing himself any favors at this point. Bro, you did what you did, and then you want to write your book, and then you want to sue the NFL. They settled with you, and you called them a slave. You called them slave owners, and you called them plantation, and yet you still trying to play? Like, that don't make no sense. It doesn't make sense, bro. Like, I can't go to my employer, sue him, call him racist, and then say, hey, bro, can I get my job back? Like, where do they do that? Where do they do that? That's not on planet Earth. That's not how this happens. So, hey, man, look, do your thing, be an activist. embrace where you are in your life. It's beneath you at this point to do what you did. It was a bad strategy. Own up to that. You learn your lesson. You'll know how to do it in the future. But hey, this is what it is, man. So fat chance, I don't think it's going to work. You're 7 years removed and you're in your mid-30s. Even quarterbacks who didn't have a layoff fall off at that point. And you're somebody who hasn't even played on a field and you still acting like you can contribute. Bro, fat chance, just move on.
Bro, 100%. And I don't know if he's trying to play an angle of, look, y'all, they're still blackballing me. Look, man, I'm still capable. But there's such a media circus around him. I remember, was that last season or the season before? Because it's every year with this garbage. And he was out there practicing and just showing that he doing all his pro day type stuff and whoop. And it's just like, bro, like, what are you doing? what is this? So it's every year with this garbage. He keeps this thing up, but I think there's this weird thing because he still has a lot of supporters. And there's this thing of, see, they're keeping Cap out of the league because they racist. Right. And they and so every year he has to come and remind us about how racist the NFL is because they're not letting him in. Bro, this ain't Tom Brady of the NFL. This ain't LeBron James of the NBA. All right. This ain't Messi of soccer. All right, or football for my internationals. All right. Nah, bro. He was Colin Kaepernick, a mid-level at best quarterback who got a little hot, a little steamed up in a great offense and yet to be scouted. As soon as he started getting scouted and this tape out on him, his numbers weren't the same. And so then all of a sudden he's starting to kneel and all this other stuff. And then, he's out of the league. But his heyday was a blip on a radar, much like any other young person who's young and there's no tape out on him yet. So he had himself a good season in a good system. And so, but I mean, coming from Nevada, from all schools, he was not highly touted. He's not really good. He was just running. Yeah. So he was not a good quarterback. So sorry, the league don't need you. But I had brought this point up last time we had brought up this, Kaepernick situation is that, this is a job. So, and I brought this up with John Morant. Bro, these leagues don't need you. They don't. I mean, they would like to have you, but they don't need you. And they will cut ties for the sake of the league. And the reason why I brought up his little pro day thing is because there's such a media circus whenever he's doing anything. So if he signs with the team, here come all these questions dug up from 2017 and all this other stuff. Now he's got to sit there and say, hey, injustice and they don't want to give me football. The league just want to football, football and making money. And that ain't making money. So noble cause initially, all that other stuff initially, nobody's hating on none of that. We just talking about the perceivable, doubling back on your words, the perceivable, looking like you're groveling at the feet of the same people that you called oppressors. Now, if you want to sit there and be a leader, then lead in a new direction. Don't go back to the people that put you in such an, messed up position. So I don't like this. I don't care for it. And it seems weak. So hopefully he rebrands himself after all of this garbage, and then actually step into activism. All right. Maybe go do that. Because honestly, bro, you created a whole career path specifically for that. The whole world saw it. That's on your resume. And honestly, if it's not some SJW company or some new age progressive thing, bro, that's the lane you need to be in, man. So just go be a social justice warrior and collect all of this money from nonprofit organizations. But NFL dreams, kick rocks. Yeah, absolutely. Just, you'll get your donations and you'll get your cash apps and your Patreons, man. But that's kind of where you need to be. And it's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, stop trying to force your way into a situation, but then on the back end claim that they don't want you a part of that situation. If you really wanted to play again, then what was that, last year or 2 years ago, they held a workout for you. The league put that on and you decided you were going to buck that and go and hold your own workout somewhere at a high school field instead of just doing what the league, like the NFL did. Like they held a workout for this dude at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I think is what it's called, or the arena in Atlanta.
And at the last minute, he said, "Nah, I ain't about that. I'm gonna do this myself." I guess it's people these days really be trying too hard to have their cake and eat it too. Bro, you're not bigger than the NFL. You're not going to be this beacon for social justice and then at the same time and call your own shots, but then still have your workout and get your job. Get out of here. If you really wanted the job bad enough, you would have went to that workout where all of those teams were and just held the workout there. You bucked on that and went to a high school field where the NFL wasn't even there, with some dude in your team holding an iPhone camera, and that's where we got to see all your throws. So, yeah, I just look, man. Take a cue from Maya Moore, bro. That she needs to be your role model right now, Kaepernick. Seriously, because she's doing what you ought to be doing at this point, because it really is beneath you at this point to grovel for a job or a position on a practice squad of a losing. The Jets are not going to the playoffs.
No,
okay, you're groveling to be on the practice squad for the Jets. Right now, you're not better than what's that boy name that they got out there right now? What's that boy name? Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson. You ain't better than him. Kaepernick's not better than him right now. You know,
he's not.
So it's like, hey, man, fat chance, bro. You know, embrace your current lane and just stick with that, because that's where you need to be.
Yep, 100, bro. So if he's not just going to be turning around and just handing it off or acting as a battering ram on gadget plays, I don't really see him leading a team anywhere. So, you know, I don't care for none of this. So good luck, Mr. Kaepernick, whatever you do. Hopefully, you know, you smell the roses, man, and step into the light that you were called to step into. So
yeah,
good luck, bro.
Yeah, for sure. It's over, man. It's over. Jim Harbaugh ain't walking through that door, bro.
Nah, not this time.
Oh, yeah. All right, now we're going to talk about comments made by Jemele Hill in light of Offset's interview with weirdo podcaster Bobbi Althoff. Now, I must admit, I had no idea who this Bobbi Althoff person was until her interview with Drake went viral. And then we talked about it on the channel, of course. Prior to that, I had no idea who she was. Apparently, she's huge, I guess. This is America in 2023. Anybody can just get on. She has this awkward interview style, but she did an interview with Offset on her show, and it went in weird, quirky, awkward directions. And Jemele Hill had some comments about hip-hop journalism in the aftermath of that interview. So first, what we'll do is we will, I guess the first thing that we'll do is we'll read Jemele Hill's comments, and then we'll play a brief clip from that interview, and then we'll go ahead and talk about it. Yep. So let's see here. This article share, also from Hot New Hip Hop, it says Jemele Hill claims Offset and Bobbi Althoff interview reveals how hip-hop journalism has been practically erased. Jemele Hill is someone who never shies away from sharing her opinion. As someone who made a name for herself, as someone who made a name for themselves, I don't know why it says them, she's a female. As someone who made a name for herself on ESPN, she is no stranger to the world of punditry. Moreover, she is now a writer for The Atlantic, where she is able to share her opinions with a wide audience. Additionally, her opinions go well beyond just sports at this point. For instance, she recently gave her take on an upcoming interview between Bobbi Althoff and Offset. Althoff has caught a lot of flack over the last couple of months due to her proximity to hip-hop. Some people feel as though she is making fun of hip-hop. Furthermore, there are those who think her irreverent style showcases a contempt for the culture as a whole. Needless to say, she is not on everyone's good side. After a clip of her interview with Offset began getting traction online, Hill spoke out about Althoff and the larger issue that plagues hip-hop journalism these days. So there's the tweet that Jemele Hill put out, but here's the whole thing right here. It says, quote, "I don't find these types of interviews particularly enjoyable or interesting," Hill said. "Instead, it just sadly points out how real hip-hop journalism has been practically erased. Some of the media teams behind these artists aren't interested in them sitting down with credible people who know how to tell stories and do quality interviews. Then they wonder why an artist's real story goes untold, neglected, or that artist is misunderstood. This subsequently led to some discourse in the replies, although Hill stood strong on her opinion, proclaiming that these artists could do interviews with anyone and fans would still flock to it. So that's what Jemele Hill had to say there. So we'll go ahead and play a clip from this interview. I actually thought that this was kind of funny. So this is a brief clip from that interview between Offset and Bobbi Althoff.
Interesting.
You do. That's the question.
I interview people
Why?
because I want to get to know them.
Why do you want to get to know me?
I didn't.
You did.
Your team reached out to mine.
Don't cap. Let's not cap about that. That's not flex for the gram. Uh-oh. CAP. Flag on the play. Cap.
What was that? Are you trying to make a sound right now?
No, it was cap.
Okay. I honestly don't know how this came about. I'm not going to lie to you.
Me either.
Okay. Well, my team could have reached out to yours. I'm not going to. I don't want to make you look bad.
They had to show me who Bobby was. I thought they were talking about Bobby Boucher.
Never heard of Offset.
The water? Yes, you have.
I have not. I Googled
Damn.
you on the way here and I read something about you.
I had to go on TikTok. I couldn't even
Can
Google
I-
you.
Thank you.
I had to go TikTok search. I couldn't Google you. Google's not there yet. You're not there yet. But you'll be there. But you're on TikTok.
Unbelievable.
He said he thought they was talking about Bobby Boucher. So that was just a brief excerpt from that interview, of course, and then Jemele Hill commenting that this is showing proof that real hip-hop journalism, credible hip-hop journalism, has been practically erased. Do you agree with Jemele Hill's comments?
Yeah, no. So yeah, where is real journalism in hip-hop? I guess. But no, because who's really doing, I mean, I don't know. Who's really doing genuine journalism right now? I mean, from what I hear, even the top tier people are hot take machines. They're not doing any investigative type of anything. They're not breaking like good stories. What they're doing is just giving hot take after hot take, clickbait after clickbait. So the journalism game as a whole, I would argue, has gone into the pits. So to just go, oh, it's just hip hop. Nah, even the industry that she's in is full of BS. So for her to just sit there and call out rap or hip hop or whatever specifically, I feel like she should look a little bit broader because this is going on everywhere. As far as the whole Bobby thing is concerned, I still don't get it. Now, I did see this clip and I saw another clip where he's just, scolding her as he should. But as I'm sitting there looking at this clip and I clicked on the actual video and I saw it's like 50 something minutes. And I'm like, who's going to sit here and watch an hour of this dry ass conversation? I can see if this girl was legitimately funny, but she's not funny. Her whole shtick is being a bitch. There's nothing funny about that. My concern about this Bobby madness is that this is going to create a way, because this is seen as humorous, and I'm a comedy guy. So the one thing that I took away from this entire interview is not the lack of journalism. It's the lack of comedy that this is supposed to be. The only thing that made this funny was Offset just understanding the assignment and letting her have it. Yeah, that was the only thing. But her herself, I do not want to see this brand of comedy. All right. Funny Marco does it. I don't know if you know him. Funny Marco does it. It's whatever when he does it. The Ray J one's good. So if y'all see the Ray J Funny Marco one, that was pretty good. But Ray J made that, not Funny Marco. But be that as it may, this whole brand of humor, not a fan of it. I got more to say on the back end. But how do you feel about Mrs. Hill's comments here? Do you agree that hip hop journalism has now gone into the pits?
You said something very profound that I didn't even think about. She ought to also point out the degradation of journalism in her own industry.
That's right.
That's very true, because sports content is now a hot take factory, and no one actually cares about nuance, intelligence, or details. It's just say flaming things loudly. And so, yeah, you are right on the money with that. That is 100% correct. But I also agree with her. Oddly enough, I think that she's correct. And the fact that you don't know who does the real journalism is, to me, what makes her point. Because it's not that it doesn't exist; it's that we have basically shoved it to the side in lieu of social media bullshit. So I used to, on a daily basis, visit hiphopdx.com. Hiphopdx.com, and it still exists, but I don't know what the views of the website now are currently or whatever. But I used to go to this website every day. They did legitimate album reviews. There were actual journalists who worked for that website. They wrote real stories. They did real investigative stuff. You know what I'm saying? For real. Like they did real journalism. They I can't think of the guys. There's a guy who I'm trying to think of who's there, who actually followed me back on Twitter years ago when I actually cared about posting on that thing. But that's an outlet that does real credible work in the journalism sphere with respect to hip hop. You're not going to think about Hip Hop DX because they have been relegated to the back burner in lieu of these weird, like Bobbi Althoff and Ice Shadow Speed or Ice Show Speed or whatever the hell that kid's name is. People like that, these weirdo YouTubers and TikTokers who are just clickbait machines. And their followings, as you mentioned, with the followings of people like DJ Academics, are children who don't know any better. So these kids move the needle with these people's pages and increase the followership and the viewership to the point where these artists now think that they need to be on these platforms. And yes, Jemele Hill is correct. These platforms are completely devoid of any journalistic integrity whatsoever. But as you said, as you pointed out, Jemele Hill's industry, sports media, the journalistic integrity decline. Television quality decline. Movies quality decline. Everything is on a decline because we are in a microwavable age where people don't care about nuance and intelligence. We just want the video that's going to make us laugh or entertain us, even though that video is devoid of any sort of merit or nuance whatsoever. So I agree with her. She's right. But her own industry is suffering from the same plague that hip hop is suffering from. But I think what's reinforcing what we're seeing with this, because I brought this up before, I've brought up the fact that hip hop journalism is completely eroded. And I believe that is what has contributed to the erosion of the quality of the music. And that's how I look at it that way. And what I think has happened is these shows are so beholden to these artists that they are too chicken shit to be critical. And so because they're too chicken shit to be critical, they're not going to write an album review that is an honest critique of the work. They're not going to do an interview that's an honest critique of the artists themselves. They are going to relegate themselves to basically hosting these artists so that they can just talk about how great they are. Because you don't want to alienate the artists and piss them off and therefore not have them want to come back to your show anymore. And it's one of the biggest issues that I see plaguing this genre. So when you don't have that journalistic check and balance, you then allow the actual quality of the product to run roughshod. And there's no mechanism in place that is there to safeguard the music from becoming a shell of itself. So as a result, you end up in this dynamic where the industry wants the artists around. The industry is too afraid to be critical. Therefore, the artist can make whatever music they want and not have to face the music, so to speak, of a journalistic aspect of the industry that's going to check them and tell them, hey, man, you need to make better stuff. And in lieu of this degradation in journalistic integrity, you get the rise of people like Bobbi Althoff, who can command a large audience and have people like Offset onto their platform. I'm no fan of Offset or the Migos personally, but even I would believe that Offset is above being on Bobbi Althoff's show. I would believe that Drake is above being on Bobbi Althoff's show.
You would think.
But because we're in this climate where a goofy chick like her has all these followers, these individuals feel as though they need to be a part of that crap. And then they get on there and they see that she's a joke, and they can't help but themselves but point out how much of a joke she is from a talent and credibility standpoint. And what you do have as a result, from what I see, is this genre of music being made fun of and laughed at by people on the outside, who are saying, this is the kind of stuff that y'all are doing. What is this chick? Is this her shtick? She's just some trendy interview chick who's dry, and I'm supposed to find that funny or entertaining? Like, where have we've gone very far left in terms of mandating a particular standard for everything in this country. And that includes art, entertainment, journalism, everything. The only thing that has kind of remained the same is sports. And when I say sports, I mean the performance of sports, not the coverage of it, because the coverage of it has eroded.
My goodness. That's a whole nother topic, bro.
Right. So, like, I don't think she's wrong. I agree with her, which is weird because I usually find myself disagreeing with almost everything Jemele Hill has to say. But, like, I think that she's right. But there's no fixing this because it ain't about journalism now. It's about TikTok. So,
right, it's about
about the TikTok, and it's, I guess we've left Instagram behind and it's strictly about the TikTok now. So if this chick has 2 million subscribers on her YouTube and however many millions of followers on her TikTok, that's what the move is. So I hear what Jemele is saying. I think she's right. It has been erased. But I think that the genre itself has no one to blame for that but itself. So there you go.
Yeah. And my thing is with this Bobbi girl is because who is she? I mean, people can say that, oh yeah, she's had a big following on TikTok and all right, but as you mentioned, why would Drake and Offset, two of the top tier rappers in the rap game, right? Why would they decide to go on this platform? And as this whole thing was, she was like, why are you here or whatever. He's like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, why you your team? And then she was like, oh, I don't know. And he was like, I didn't even know who you are. He was like, why you lying? So he was like, stop the cap. Like, this was a whole thing. Like, the only reason why I'm here is because the bag your people gave me. Now, if you got a big enough bag to get Drake and Offset, you working with a bag bigger than TikTok numbers. Now, I did some investigative research on this young lady back when the whole Drake thing was going on because, well, who the hell is she? Well, she had herself a nice little channel on TikTok, which is okay, whatever, right? But her father is an important person, all right, in the music industry, all right? So he's a puppet master, a string puller, and he put his daughter in position to be in the industry. She don't even like these people, which is why the article says that it comes off real condescending, her whole vibe. She really don't get with this genre. She is a plant in this industry to do whatever the hell, and honestly, maybe even muck up the waters of journalism. Because now what's going to end up happening is these rappers are going to start going on these platforms where people are doing this comedic version of interviewing people instead of actually interviewing them. So for this whole Bobbi situation, she is, in my opinion, somebody that was provided to us. That's why Drake gave her a nice little, all right, here you go. I made you a name. Now give me my video back. And now there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff going on where she's talking to more than Offset. Trust and believe she's going to have another person, Lil Baby, the Baby, Grand Baby, whatever these baby rapper names are nowadays. She's going to be interviewing them. So look out, guys. You haven't seen, the last of this Bobbi Althoff or whatever her name is. But I don't jive with none of this. I agree with Jemele Hill on this aspect because what the hell is this? So I'm not a fan of this. I hope it goes away. It won't. I think this is going to be the start of a new trend of not only interviewing but humor. And Lord, man, I'm a big humor guy. Do not give me bad comedy. This is bad comedy to me. So
I wouldn't even classify it as comedy. It's not comedy. It's just 2023. It's new media. Draymond Green was the first person I heard to use the phrase new media.
Mhm.
That's what she is. She's new media, i.e., I can be devoid of any credibility, talent, or intelligence and just have a following. I actually didn't know that about her background. So that's actually very good context for anyone who did not know about that, myself included. But yeah, I also agree with Jemele Hill. And I said this in my initial comments. On the back end, I believe that people outside of hip hop as a culture, if you ascribe to that notion, look at shit like this and they laugh. It's like this is something that is to be made fun of.
Yep.
Honestly. And when it's something to be made fun of, and it's something to sort of you can highlight it and make fun of it as an indication as to why it ought to be devoid of any artistic merit. And this is what you get. And it's just this is like Drake is the go-to guy when it comes to hip hop. He's number one. He's on the top of the mountaintop. And for him to have been a part of this, he had to have been getting paid a hefty amount because otherwise there's no incentive for him to do this.
Exactly.
There's no incentive for him to do this. But it just shows and proves how this industry moves on nothing but where the cash at. It does not move on talent. It does not move on integrity. It does not move on credentials. It just moves on how much can you pay me to do this? And it takes a certain type of person with enough intestinal fortitude to say, I am above relegating myself to being a part of this ridiculous machine for a bag. If I'm that big enough, I'll just go and do a bunch of shows or I'll go on tour and I'll make my couple millions of dollars and I'll be on my way. I'm not going to belittle myself to be on this dumbass show.
Right.
And she has 882,000 subs on YouTube. I don't know what she got going on TikTok, but by YouTube standards, that's a pretty large amount of followers. In all likelihood, bought, given what you said in terms of what her background is.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear what Jemele is saying 100%. She ain't wrong, and she's entitled to that opinion because she's an actual journalist. Like, she went to school to be a journalist, and I'm sure it does. I'm sure it gives her no pleasure to look at what her field has been relegated to, which in certain respects is a complete joke, unfortunately. But the way that I look at this, because the Althoff thing aside, I'm at this point so desensitized to talentless people getting on. I'm over it because I'm used to it. I expect that these individuals with no character, no drive, no talent, no personality can still make it because that's what machines do. So I'm desensitized to that completely. But what I do point at is this is what I believe has contributed to the erosion of the quality of the music in this genre. Because if there's no check, if there's nothing there, if there's no fourth estate, so to speak, that you have to be aware of and understand, if I don't uphold myself to a certain quality of work, that fourth estate is going to come at my rack. If that's completely gone and these artists are just out here making bullshit music, then you understand why we continue to have all of these conversations about what's going on with hip hop, while Joe Budden is talking about the industry being disgusting and these artists not being able to make the money that they make. All of this stuff, in my opinion, works in concert with one another. And so look no further than journalism as another aspect as to why this genre is quickly becoming a joke and it's losing its cultural impact.
And one last thing, bro. You sleep, bro. Offset be going in, man. You sleep, bro. He be going in, man. I like Offset, man. He's a cool dude.
No, I mean, I just don't. I don't. You know, I don't really listen to him.
Nah,
like that, you know?
I don't
Yeah.
blame you, bro. No, I don't
Yeah.
blame you. It's just
No-
for this new
no-
stuff. I think he's. I would rather listen to. Put it this way, I would rather listen to Offset than any of these newer people. So
Yeah.
So if it's like these new people and Offset's on it, it's like, oh, Offset, let me hear what he got to say. And most likely to me, he snaps. So I like Offset.
Yeah, no, I can honestly say that I've never been opposed to him. It's not like it's an automatic skip. Like if it's a song that he's on it, I'm interested to hear it. I'm just not at the point where Offset's gonna drop a whole project and I'm gonna listen to it.
Oh no. Features.
Yeah,
only,
but right. But yeah, no shade at Offset, and I actually respect him for the way that he came at this Althoff woman on that show.
I agree.
Because
Yeah,
she
me
deserved it. She deserved it. We need to start holding credibility and credentials to a certain standard. We just don't give a damn. We just letting anybody get any kind of following and just get big, and they suck at what they do. And I'm tired of this shit.
Hey man,
but
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you.
Oh no, wrong one there. I picked the wrong one. We ain't on that one yet. Oh yeah, we are on that. My bad. I'm tripping. I was ahead of schedule. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the Swifties. We're gonna talk about the Swifties and Travis Kelce. I don't know what's going on here with this. I find this whole thing to be incredibly annoying. And whenever you put on your tinfoil hat talking about plants, and I'm like someone who wants to like not believe that, it's stuff like this that makes me say, well, maybe Dogon got a point here. So we're gonna go ahead and comment on this ridiculous situation a little bit. First, we'll go ahead and play a clip from the recent episode of the Pat McAfee show, in which he is talking about the dynamic that is going on here in the NFL with NFL fans and what is apparently a growing resentment towards this newfound attention that is gravitating towards the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL as a result of the onslaught of attention courtesy of Taylor Swift's involvement. So, I mean, I don't think I need to provide any context for anybody, but Taylor Swift apparently, if you believe that this is real, is dating Travis Kelce, superstar tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. She showed up to the last two Chiefs games, and now everybody's talking about the Chiefs and Taylor Swift, and sports fans are kind of annoyed by it. There's all of these stories. She has a huge following, obviously. I'm not one of them, but that should come as no shock for anybody. So
what, you're not a Swiftie, bro? I thought you was a Swiftie.
No, I'm not a Swiftie. I'm not a Swiftie. But here's Pat McAfee opining on this situation briefly.
People very pissed about how this whole thing's going. It was cute. We were happy for them. Now I got to deal with every single first commercial break. Taylor Swift movie coming out. Theaters only. I can't wait.
I'm going to go.
I'm going to go. Yeah. I'm thinking I'm going to go. The second commercial break, first commercial, also Taylor Swift by way of the Times Square kind of cutaway. And then they ran another commercial of it at the end. And then Pacheco scores and he's about to do his take us straight up to hall. Yeah, we're happy in there. So we would like to let the Swifties know we appreciate the hell of you guys watching football. But there are some people in the football community that are not thrilled about how it's going. And I think that is only the beginning because there's a lot of people that think this isn't real love.
What? Who thinks that?
Not me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right, bro.
McAfee has made me watch a little more ESPN than I had in the last couple of years. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
He's not bad. He's certainly better than all the rest of those shows they put on there. And spoiler alert for anyone, and be prepared before I say this here. And I mean this because I'm telling the truth here. I am not exaggerating here, not one bit. I wouldn't know a Taylor Swift song if it got played right now. If I'm not, I promise you, if there was a song that was played, I would not know that was her. That's what I'll say this. If there was a song that was played I would recognize it because I've heard it before if I've gone out in public places where they play music. But someone would have to tell me that's Taylor Swift because I would not.
All right, I get it.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. I would not know a Taylor Swift song like that if I could pick it out of a lineup. I really couldn't. So, as someone who is a fan of watching good football, watching the Chiefs, it should come as no shock to anybody. I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a purist, but this to me is absurd, and I hope that it goes away with the quickness. I don't. I know, and that's what's so frustrating because it's annoying. I'm not gonna sit up here and say she's faking her enthusiasm or being a fake fan. She's fair weather. A lot of people are fair weather fans. I've had I've dated girls who don't watch sports. They start dating me, all of a sudden they're watching sports.
Exactly.
When we break up, they ain't watching sports no more. So I'm fine with that. I can live with that. It's all good. I can live with the fair weather fan. But it's the media circus surrounding it that has me rolling my eyes and literally not wanting to watch the game. Because touchdown celebrations are now being superseded by Taylor Swift's reaction to said touchdown.
Real.
And I'm just like, what are we doing here? And I'm watching the game on what was that? They played what was that Sunday night when they played the Jets? And not only is she up in the box, but there's all of her Holly weird friends up there in the box with her. And it's like, okay, now you guys are piling it on. At least one of y'all need to be a real fan here. All of y'all can't be fair weathering it up in the box, clapping it up like y'all been watching the Chiefs. It's disgusting. It is. So, but this and this is somewhat tangential to the topic that we just discussed with the erosion of journalism and everything being about clicks and TikToks and views and all of that bullshit. But you know what I'm saying, bro? Like I've gone to the point where, how we always say don't get frustrated because it's gonna happen anyway. So it's like I don't get frustrated because I understand that this is the way that the world is now. But can you get to a point where you don't get frustrated, but you can still be annoyed? Because that's how I am. I'm annoyed, albeit I'm not frustrated. Like we really do move the needle on this pop culture nonsense. And so now they're leading with Taylor Swift on credible sports shows. Credible. leading with Taylor Swift instead of leading with the game. And the pundits and the commentators are feeding into it by giving their own takes on the nature of this relationship and Taylor Swift's involvement with Travis Kelce and how it's affecting the Chiefs. Reporters on after the game, post game, asking Patrick Mahomes about throwing a touchdown pass to Travis Kelce for Taylor Swift. It's like I don't believe it, but then I do, because the world is coming to an end. Slowly but surely.
Oh, this one did it. This one did it.
I mean, it's the pile on. It's just how it's piled on, bro. It's piled on so much. I can take it, but I can't. I'm disgusted, but I'm not. I'm frustrated, but I'm not. I'm highly annoyed, but I'm not. I'm dealing with an extreme sense of duality here when it comes to my consumption of this. And all that I can do is just hope and pray that it goes away, even though I suspect that you're correct. And this is going to be something that will continue at least for the duration of the rest of this season, which for me is 13 weeks too long. So I don't know, man. I can't stand it, but I guess I'm old or whatever you want to call me. I can't stand it. All of you weirdo kids out there who like this stuff, who follow this chick, you worship this stuff. This is very similar to the Beyonce effect.
Yes, it is.
It might even be worse. I never understood this level of hero worship. I never got it. I don't understand it. It is incomprehensible to me, but my brain is not made to function this way. I'm not a conformist. I've never been a conformist, and so maybe that's why I don't get it. It's not for me, but I guess it's for the rest of y'all. But I'm probably going to abstain from watching any more Chiefs games unless they are the national televised game and I don't have a choice. I don't have any Chiefs players on my fantasy team, so I really have no reason to watch any of their games. So unless they're playing the Dolphins or unless it's a nationally televised game or a playoff game, probably going to stay far away.
Yeah, and let me just, and I agree, bro. I mean, what the hell is this? But for all of the Swifties out there, because I know y'all are out there, so it must have been like Fight Club, you know, all the Swifties, because they just coming out the woodwork, and everybody's a part of this group. I didn't even know this, but when we were it was a topic before we was covering about how Taylor Swift is just rocking the game when it comes to album sales and all this other stuff, and I personally didn't know anybody that was a Taylor Swift fan. And I do know one song. I think Shake It Off is hers. But do I know that song? No. I just heard it in commercials. So I'm with you. If there's a song on, I go, yeah, I heard this before. Oh, that's Taylor Swift. I'm going, oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. You know what I'm saying? She is, and for the Swifties, relax. All right. But she is sorority girl from university, pumpkin spice latte, you name it, the most generic type of whatever type of thing, and it goes crazy. Everybody loves this. Like you said, it has the Beyonce effect. And so as I was, you know, going through comment sections and stuff like that about her, you know, about all of this stuff, they were very defensive, and to the point where they don't even get why the guys are upset. They think that we're hating on her. No. We don't care about this. We're disgusted by the corporate machine that is jamming this stuff in our faces. Another video I seen, because you saw they did the Toy Story thing. The NFL is not playing, by the way. So they're trying to demographic hop. So they're trying to get some crossover. All right. So the guys, we're there. We're not going anywhere. We need to up the ante. All right. So for the young kids, they already do these types of young things, play 60, all this stuff for the kids, whatever, whoop, you know, give out footballs. You know, the NFL does this thing for the youth, but they saw an opportunity with this Nickelodeon thing that started doing last year. And then they did the Toy Story AI thing where you can watch the game and there's, you know, in Andy's room. So that's for kids. And by the way, you remember how things stuck in your brain when you was a jit, bro. And you get all kinds of nostalgic feelings about certain things that happened when you was just watching stuff as a kid. So that's for the kids. But wait, there's more. There's actually for the women. I saw a video where a woman, a Swiftie, has no idea about football, but now she's watching football. And she said, hey, look, they have a Toy Story thing where they're in here playing and they're explaining all the stuff. And then, you know, people getting into that. So I said, oh. So my whole thing about this whole situation, relax, Swifties, is that there's this marketing scheme that's been thrown in all of our faces. And then we, the football people, have to deal with this obvious garbage. The Swifties are coming over like, oh, Travis Kelce football. This is her bae. Hey, we love Travis Kelce too. For Travis Kelce jerseys, 400% spike. They talked about the ratings for that Chiefs game. It was through the roof. There was women just watching it so they can see Taylor Swift celebrating. So this whole thing won't stop. It can't stop. These numbers are going crazy. By the way, Aaron Rodgers called out Mr. Kelce today on the Pat McAfee show, calling him Mr. Pfizer because of his latest commercial ad where he's promoting you can get your flu shot and your 19 shot. I don't know what's going on with Travis Kelce, but it seems like he's selling a little bit. All right. And part of this whole relationship, this is deeper than just a power couple, two people linking up. I really think this is a power corporate marriage that we're going to have to deal with for an entire season until we actually have Swifties as fans. And so, yep. And so they're just trying to bleed it in. and they said Chiefs tickets went through the roof. That ain't guys. There's going to be women out there just so they can cheer for Travis Kelce. And by the way, I had Travis Kelce on DraftKings. And I just felt like, I was like, well, because he always show out on primetime games. They always throw him at least 2 touchdowns. I fade him, I lose. So this time I got him. But he's dropping passes because he's being watched. He can't beat Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce likes to let his testicles hang. He can't beat him. The Swifties are watching. This is madness. I don't like one bit of it. All right, so Swifties, relax. We're not attacking y'all. Me personally, I don't like this corporate juggernaut, this marriage that they're trying to do, and they're forcing a crossover effect, and I am not here for it. So I am with you, bro. I am not watching any more Chiefs games. Honestly, it's kind of hard to watch with no Tyreek Hill anyway. All right,
Yeah.
So not watching any Chiefs games if I can help it. And yeah, man, don't like this crap. Not one bit.
Yeah, I don't like it either. And it's so crazy because like it's unbelievable, really, to me. Very fascinating to look at a person who is a conformist versus a person who is a non-conformist. And it's these types of events that confirm to me that the vast majority of humans are conformists by nature. Because how do you not question the nature of this situation and come to the conclusion very logically that it's some sort of setup?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you want to believe that it was set up by their teams, fine. If you want to believe it was set up by the NFL and their teams, fine. If you want to believe it was set up by whatever their corporate sponsorships are, and like her corporate sponsors and his corporate sponsors, whatever the entities you want to point towards as to being the architects of this thing, fine, you can have that. But if you truly believe that they just hooked up and started dating, and now we have to deal with this onslaught of coverage, you're fooling yourself. You are fooling yourself. But that's the great trick here. The tremendous Jedi mind trick that is being effectively executed by said powers is in convincing the majority of conformists of the world that this is just a wonderful relationship between 2 high-profile people.
Yep,
like, get out of here, people. Think for yourself. You can't make this stuff up. What is, so that's how it goes, bro. It is what it is. This to me is corporatocracy at its finest. You're not going to sell me on the idea that they're just 2 people in a relationship. That's BS, because they are not the first couple of people where there's a guy who's in the NFL who's famous and a woman who's an actress or a singer or something else who's also famous, and they got together, and you don't see it playing out in this manner to this magnitude. This is something else. So y'all need to question why that is. Like,
agreed.
Because it ain't as simple. But that's the thing, is that's what fascinates me, is you got these simpletons out here who really do think that this is just a fun-loving relationship deal. And it's like, y'all really don't have a mind of your own. You really don't.
Yeah, amen. Hey, good luck. Hey, good luck out there with all of this stuff. But hey, man, we're gonna keep hearing this. I haven't heard her name in so much in this 2-week span. I've heard her name more in this 2 weeks that I've heard at any other point. Her name will come up here and there or whatever, whoop, but it's on ESPN. It's on everything. It's on TikTok. It's on Instagram.
They're leading with it. They lead with it. I woke up the morning. I think it was Monday morning. I woke up because the Chiefs played the Jets. I think that was a Sunday night game. They led with it on Get Up, and I immediately turned the channel. Because it's just disgusting. Like all of these corporations are in cahoots for the ratings and the views. That's where their incentive is. ESPN's incentive is ratings. So they're incentivized to do it for ratings, and whatever other interests are incentivized to do it for whatever various reasons. But this ain't just some organic, fun-loving relationship between 2 famous people. It's not.
Poor Travis. I thought he was a real one, bro. I thought he was a real one, bro.
Man, all these people for sale, bro. I don't give a damn.
Apparently. Apparently. Sheesh. Yeezy.
All right, so Yeezy is definitely a friend of the channel, and Cardi B is clapping back at Yeezy's comp. So Cardi B is clapping back at a leak of Yeezy audio, in which she is alleging that Cardi B is a conspiratorial plant.
That's right.
He is alleging that Cardi B, yeah, because I don't want to use the I word. I don't know if the video will get flagged for that, but we'll see. But yeah, so years ago, Kanye was making a documentary, and one of the scenes that was left on the cutting room floor of his documentary was this audio / video in which he is saying Cardi B is an industry plant. And that she has no talent, and she's making all of this music to try and control people and all of this kind of stuff. And Cardi B is not a fan of that. So we are obviously going to talk about that real quick. But first, because we got to do that, we are going to play this brief clip for context purposes here. So here is a rundown of this particular situation. And it's a bit odd too, because since this is several years ago, that the origination of this clip is several years ago, but in that time since then, they've collaborated with one another. Kanye has been on a song that's featured Cardi B and whatnot. So it's interesting to see this sort of in hindsight play out. But here we go. So check this out.
Interesting.
That's why Cardi B is over there. Cardi B is a plant by the Illuminati. She don't write her raps. She's just there to sound as ignorant as possible.
Kanye West accuses Cardi B of being an Illuminati plant in resurfaced footage, and the rapper has already hit back with a strong message.
And let me keep it cute. And to my haters and to y'all that want to see mess, leave me the alone. Because I come with receipts. I come with receipts. Years old receipts.
Cardi B responded to West with his own words, tweeting a 2022 clip of him speaking highly of her and her talent.
It is.
Put her there. And now she doesn't know what to do.
West said Cardi B was unaware her success was manufactured to upend Nicki Minaj's fame.
Love Cardi B. Don't bring Belcalis. Leave me there.
Whoa.
All right. So he said that she was brought on as a plant to end Nicki Minaj's fame or her run, and he said that she's just made to sound as ignorant as possible, and she doesn't write her own raps, and she's a plant, and so on and so forth. And she doesn't appreciate his comments all that much. But what do you think about that?
Well, so here's my thing with Ye. So yeah, he used the I word, but I think it's safe enough to say that there's corporate interests who have, much like the last topic, corporate interests who have I would say an agenda to push their products. Let's say that. Part of them pushing their product is pushing the most debaucherous types of things out there. All right. I remember we covered a situation where he said that Lizzo is here so that the obese community doesn't feel motivated to actually lose their unhealthy weight. All right. So stick with me, people. So I'm a person that went through a lot of rabbit holes of conspiracies, wore a lot of different types of tinfoil hats. All right. So I feel as though I came out on the other side with a little residue, but I still came out on the other side seeing things a little bit more less shadowy. And I put them in terms that make a lot more sense for me. All right. So as I mentioned, these corporate entities, they are pushing a degenerative form of entertainment out there. Now, why are they doing this? Well, they know humans are animals. So when I'm going somewhere with this, stick with me, guys. So humans are animals. I'm inclined to believe, nature versus nurture, blah, 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 is both going on. All right. But when people are born, they're basically like blank CDs. All right. And whatever is getting recorded on that CD, that's the music that's going to play later. All right. So, but at a baseline, that blank CD is animal. And then you have to train an animal to not shit on itself, how to eat properly, how to walk, how to talk. So there's a lot of stuff that you have to tell a child to not be in its animal form. Now, this is just behavioral stuff like whoop-de-whoop. But also what comes is when they actually develop, is actually, what we like to call morals or social norms and stuff like that, where people have to elevate past their animal side to actually have compassion, empathy, and other things that aren't natural, in the sense of it's people have to learn that behavior. And that's the elders' job, to show the younger generation to not be the animal form of themselves. So I bring that up, all that up to say, all right, is that as a baseline, humans are animals. So when these corporate entities start to try to shoot stuff at us for us to consume, they talk to the most primal parts of us. All right. So that's dopamine rushes. That's feel good about yourself. That's, hey, man, don't self-improve. Just keep on going. And the animal part, that registers with the animal part. So what they do is these corporate things say, hey, if you are more in your animal nature, you're more inclined to buy from us.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a system of them constantly saying, hey, do not be the best version of yourself. That's why we can't slut shame. That's why we can't air quote body shame. All right. That's why we can't do any of this stuff nowadays, speak on topics that would actually, if the person actually heard it, would actually self-improve. So we are told not to give people critiques about themselves or, whatever, to help them elevate past their animal nature. All right. So the cool thing about humans is, well, we can elevate past our animal nature. But it is still an animal nature, I would argue. And for people who are lacking that development, whether it's from their parents or it's from ingesting too much trash called media and entertainment, that they have now become this person who is trained to now want more filth and garbage. So I got a lot more to say on stuff like that, but I want to remove it from the sense of, whoop-de-whoop, sacrificing and all this other stuff. No, it's a little bit more practical than that, in my opinion. And I think it's the hey, keep feeding them garbage so they are incapacitated as people. And if they're incapacitated as people, they're more likely keep buying from me or my homeboys over there that I got to share their stuff in. So a lot to that. But how do you feel about this whole dynamic? I went in a different direction, but how do you feel about how Ye feels about Miss Cardi B here?
Yeah, I don't think that you went into a way off direction. I think that was pretty in line with what it is. You can say what you want about Kanye in terms of his eccentricities, but and see, the thing is, people, what's going to happen is, and you did well to make it not about focusing on the conspiracy aspect of it, because what people are going to do is fixate on his comments in terms of the conspiracy point. Right. When I think if you just remove that particular element, what he's saying is not only incorrect, but something that's been going on for a long time anyway. Mm-hmm. Like, we did a video talking about Meek Mill, where Meek Mill was at a speaking engagement saying that hip hop pays more for ignorant content.
Right.
This is a rapper, and he said that.
Right.
So, he's acknowledging rappers make more money. They sign bigger deals when their content is laced with ignorance, because they want to be able to create a particular type of propaganda that can speak to a large enough percentage of population to get them to act in a particular manner.
Yes.
And it has nothing to do with well, it is a form of brainwashing, in my opinion, but still removing it from mind control, brainwashing, and all of that stuff, it's to have people be more susceptible to making purchasing choices. This is about the dollar, bro. It's about economics. So what Kanye is saying is not wrong. It's like Meek Mill's acknowledged hip hop pays to be ignorant. The industry of the music industry, hip hop in particular, sort of is one in which it is sort of mandated for there to be an increased amount of ignorant content, because said in ignorant content, if exposed to a large enough amount of people, can give corporate interests, sponsors, advertisers a large enough exposure to whatever it is that they're selling to get people to buy it. So I really do think that this is about following the money. It's a money rabbit hole more. Well, I mean, it can be a conspiracy rabbit hole if you want it to be, but it can be, but more so than anything else, it's about understanding that it's no coincidence. Why do you think that? Look, last week I read several of the songs that are most streamed 2023. I would categorize most of those songs in the ignorant category. That's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence. So, unless you believe that coincidences can exist, there's a reason, and it's an intentional reason as to why that is. And it's about influencing people to make purchasing choices. That's kind of how I see it. So, these rappers or these people partner with these companies and they're selling stuff. Labels also partner with companies to sell stuff. It's all for the intent of being able to appeal to a large enough amount of people from a consumer standpoint to get them to not save money, not invest, not buy things that appreciate over time, to not invest their money in appreciable assets, but rather to waste it on things that depreciate the moment that you buy them, because it makes the corporation money and gives you instant gratification. And like I said in the last topic that we discussed when it comes to Taylor Swift, because it is somewhat related, I personally believe that if you were to point out, I don't know what the exact number is. This is entirely anecdotal, so I'm kind of making this up, but I'm willing to bet that if you took 10 people and put them in a lineup, 7 or 8 of those 10 people you would probably classify as a conformist. So these targeted forms of marketing are meant to appeal to a large percentage of the population, because it has been proven that a large percentage of the population just needs to be exposed to one singular message that will make them act in a particular way. So when Kanye says that Cardi B is a plant, what he is referring to is this is a woman who is sort of being thrusted into mainstream consciousness for the purposes of selling a particular form of content to get people to buy certain things or act in a particular way that will, in a future, get them to buy things, because, you can sort of, correlate certain forms of behavior with one's propensity to consume certain things monetarily or behavioral wise. So that's where I think his comments make sense. Now, when it comes to the conspiracy stuff, I'll leave that to the people who have read more books or have gone down further rabbit holes, because I'm not that guy. And no shade or disrespect to those who have. I just don't know about that stuff. But I do think that on a baseline level, and I even studied this stuff in school, like there are targeted efforts by all manners of content, music, movies, television, that are not just about entertaining you, but are about getting you to act in a designed manner. And because most people are going to do it because they aren't going to gain the wherewithal to think for themselves, it's a largely effective strategy. And so that's where I think his comments have merit.
And this last thing I'll say is, whenever there's content out there, so which one is it feeding? Is it feeding the wolf inside of you, or is it feeding the angel inside of you? And one thing that Cardi B's music, Megan Thee Stallion, that WAP stuff, all that, Nicki Minaj and all that stuff, that is feeding the wolf in our people. It is feeding the wolf in everybody. And when they hear that, the women start to twerking and the guys start looking for the girls that's twerking. They looking for the Suki Hondas in the sexy reds. So my thing is from there, once you can pinpoint what that music is trying to target and bring out of people, then at that point you can see that's why the labels put them in control. Because hey, as soon as there's some, whoop-de-whoop, that's, that mindset generally tends to follow and purchase. But if you think for yourself, you out the box a little bit, you can clearly see that Travis Kelce is not dating Taylor Swift, and then you would not consume their garbage because you fell into their little trap. So
buying jerseys and all of that. Yeah, like you said, his jerseys sales skyrocketed. Like that's the point of the whole thing. It's not the
Bingo.
Come on, people. Like we can't be the only ones who see this stuff. And I know that there's more people who see this, but apparently there's way more people who don't. Like, obviously, that situation between them two, one of the goals is let's make this money. 400% increase in jersey sales, mission accomplished.
Yes,
come on,
sir.
guys. We
Yes,
gotta
sir.
see this stuff. We gotta see this stuff. I know one industry. I know one corporate industry that has directly benefited from vagina rap, Cardi B, City Girls, Megan Thee Stallion, and all of this other stuff. Plastic surgery.
Oh boy. And her face looked done up again. I was like, girl, she done trimmed down her nose again. Boy, so she gonna look like Lil' Kim in like 3 more years. Look out, y'all. With that little Kim dance.
BBL surgeons everywhere have ratchet rappers to thank for the exponential increase in their bank accounts. So hopefully they pay homage at some point.
Hard booty chicks. Kid Rock. Want your hard booties? Soft booties, little booties. Where y'all at?
For real. Shouts out to Ye for the content. Shouts out to Ye. Oh boy. All right, lastly, I don't even know what to make of this. It pains me to even bring this up because it affects my Miami Heat and a player that I have largely respected throughout the tenure of his career. But as you can see there, Jimmy Butler claims to be in emo mode. The Miami Heat had preseason national media day on, I believe, Monday, October the 2nd. And this is how Jimmy Butler showed up to media day for the Miami Heat. So without further ado, we'll just go ahead and play this.
Your boy.
No need for me to really set it up any further. Jimmy's been my guy. I still believe Jimmy Butler is the second greatest Miami Heat player ever after Dwayne Wade. But I don't know what to make of this. So perhaps our dialogue here on the Wonderful Conscious Approach channel can help provide me some clarity on how I should take the situation in. But here we go.
Nah, I'm emo. Leave me alone. What's this? This is my emotional state. I'm one with my emotions. So what you get?
Did you see Jimmy in his hair? And what did you think?
He's just misunderstood.
Yeah, that's all.
He's misunderstood. I mean, if the phase he's going through at 34, I guess you just gotta let him go through his phases. We all go through our emo phases. Apparently, I hope I don't have mine at 50.
All right, man. So
I love it.
Yeah, right. So all I gotta say about this, man, is this is 3 topics in a row that we've done that are all related, in my opinion.
Okay.
In terms of antics being done for the purposes of convincing people to act in a designed manner, more specifically to purchase. This is not the first time Jimmy Butler's done this.
No.
Last year he showed up to media day with long sew-in dreadlocks that made him actually look quite feminine, in my opinion. And I was very pleasantly surprised to see that it was a bit and that he's not actually doing this. But here we go again. This is the second year in a row in which he is doing this. And here's my thing, real quick. If you want to be a provocateur and do stuff for the gram and TikTok and all the rest of this new media weirdo stuff that everybody's doing now to get your views and your clicks and to get attention to your commercials and to buy your what does he sell? Michelob Ultra. I think he does Mick Ultra, Jimmy Butler. So look, man, you're trying to draw attention to your brand, and that's fine. Like I said 2 topics ago, I'm over getting mad because it's gonna happen anyway. So no need of me getting mad about it. The only thing that I want to know is why does this have to be why does the strategy have to depict you in an effeminate manner?
That's
like,
what
can't you do something else? Aren't there other ways for you to draw attention to your brand than to be effeminate? Like it reminds me of the Dave Chappelle. I remember years ago, Dave Chappelle was on Inside the Actor Studio, and he was talking about how, this was and he, mind you, what he was talking about preceded Chappelle's show. He was talking about how they was trying to pitch to him to be a character in some movie, and the idea was that he needed to wear a dress. And Chappelle's like, I'm a stand-up comedian. Why do you need me to wear it? Like, what is the reason that you need me to put this dress on in this movie? Why was it written in such a way that you have black man wearing a dress? Furthermore, why do you come to me asking me to wear a dress for this part in this movie? That's what this reminds me of, except Chappelle's questioning it and people like Jimmy Butler are capitulating to it. But why can't you just figure out a shtick that can get people driving to your Instagrams and your TikToks and your whatever the hell else you're doing that doesn't involve you being effeminized? I really hope that those piercings on his face are clip-ons and not actual piercings. But even if they are clip-ons, you still put that crap on anyway, and you still did this on national television. And I get it, new human stuff.
Yep.
LGBTQ, gender fluid. So now me questioning why Jimmy Butler has to do this must mean that I'm an LGBTQ hater, I guess. Right? That means I'm an anti. So I don't like this, and so that means I'm anti and I'm against LGBT, whatever the hell. I don't care. Like I said, y'all can't cancel what's already been canceled. So if you want to sit here and try to cancel this channel, good luck with that. I already canceled it, so I don't give a damn. But I'm just trying to figure out why it is that his bit has to be emasculating and effeminate. Why? Like, that's what I don't have an answer to, nor should I, because my brain doesn't think this way. And so that's the only thing is like, Jimmy, come on, bro. Disappointing. I'm pretty sure when the regular season starts, he'll be back to regular Jimmy Butler. But it's the idea that in order to sell yourself preseason, you have to come out looking like a drag show. And I'm not all for it, but I guess this is the way the world is. And so I just got to learn to live with this crap.
Yeah. And I personally think that Jimmy's a little zesty. I think he's a little zesty.
At this point, he might be.
Yeah. So I think he does, the whatever shuffle. Was he messing around with Rachel Nichols? Yeah, he was doing that. But I guess he'll mess with the ball boy too. So hey, D Wade did it as he coaching, baby. It's like it's what it. Nah, I'm not claiming that. That's not he coaching, fellas.
No, we're not gonna do that, bro.
But nah. So here's my thing with this whole thing. It's clearly a shtick that he did last year, which I was completely against it last year. Like 1000%. Again, I play DraftKings, so the first thing I'm looking at is I see the picture in DraftKings, and I'm like, bro, what the hell is this? Why you look so zesty? Like, it wasn't bad enough that he put the extensions in. He shaved off all his facial hair, which made it look more. So this one, he's got facial hair, but he got a bob. and he got the piercings, and so he can claim as emo. He just wanted to have straight hair, and yeah, he wanted to walk out with that perm and come out with that bob. But it also fits the context of us not getting Dame Lillard, and I think that this is his costume for this year because he's disappointed. This is his costume for this year. This is how I'm looking at it. And this is his costume for this year because he's disappointed we didn't get Dame. So this plays into his, he's emo, he's dark, and this all that. And listen, why is he choosing to do this? Like you mentioned, I think it's branding. I mean, because he's been the talk of the town. So everybody wants to see Jimmy's hair. As soon as I type in Jimmy, all right, the next following words of suggestion is Butler hair. All right, so he done put himself in that position. So he's doing this for what me personally, he can claim he's a different dude. And if you see any of his interviews and whatever, like he's very abrasive as a person. Like he's a different person. And I think with all of that stuff comes with this, and kind of like Young Thug in the sense of he's a zesty dude and he low-key don't care. So he wants to let y'all know he's zesty. So these are coming out things for him. I feel like this is part of him going, hey, by the way, because you a straight man, you ain't going to do this. So I think this is kind of his way of coming out. I think it's also branding and him trolling. So what does this have to do with the season? He picks photo time because, well, now I'm going to see him in DraftKings. So I have to look at this every day with his bob. Yeah, and his little swoop over whatever shit. So, hey, man, I think it's just zesty season for him. South Beach lifestyle might not make it, and he's just balling out hard. No pun intended. So, Cam would say pause.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if Cam and Mace gonna talk about this.
They are.
I need to hear what Cam got to say about this. I need to know what Cam. I need to hear what Cam got to say about this because not a fan. Not a fan.
Mace gonna bring the gavel out and start being like, "That's crazy."
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I'm not a fan, but this just makes me want to get back. This makes me want to get to the regular season as fast as possible so that I can just get the bad taste of this out of my mouth. And to your credit, he already admitted this. So he admitted somewhere that his emo mode, the genesis of it is what happened with the Heat not getting Lillard. Okay. But it's like, bro, but see, that's the thing. Once again, why does it have to look this way? You can be emo and not look borderline effeminate. So that's the thing is where are we doing? Why is it this specifically that you have to put on lip gloss and facial piercings and perm your hair out?
Man, he's trying to tell us something, bro. He's trying to let us know, bro.
Yeah, I guess so. More power to you, Jimmy. I still think you're the second greatest Heat player of all time. I'm not going to take that away from you. Hell, I mean, I look at Dwayne Wade suspect as hell at this point, and I still got him number one. So, I can definitely separate art from artists, but
right.
Not a fan at all. Jimmy, do not make me start liking Tyler Hero as my favorite Heat player. Don't put me in that position, bro.
No.
Don't put me in that position, bro. Please don't, Jimmy. I'm just saying. Don't put me in that position, bro. Not a fan of this, man. Not a fan. But we'll go ahead and close out on tonight's stream. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Once again, as always, shouts out to Nectimus Prime for joining in on the chat. Certainly appreciate you, brother. Wait, is that might be a female? Oh, the avatar is a female. You never know. But once again, my name is JV Wins. That is Dogon SS. You can follow the Conscious Approach channel on Instagram at ConApproach, ConApproach. Be on the lookout for Conscious Approach wherever you get your podcasts as well. You can follow me on Instagram at JV Wins, JVWINS. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any other video. And do the same if you happen to be watching any of our content on the Meta page. We certainly appreciate that. But until next time, stay up. Fellas, write your mission statements out. Don't let these slurs hold you hostage. Go Dolphins, go Heat, go Seminoles. And until the next video, I'll catch you on the flip side.
Go Rattlers. And the name is Dogon SS. You can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube at Dogon_SS. Also on DraftKings. Man, send me the ad. I'll take your cash. All right, Dogon_SS over there as well. And as I say on every pod, guys, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot, including these corporate interests. All right. So until the next time, guys, we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Like and subscribe.
Who, Jimmy, put them braids back in the hair, bro. You got me, son. You got me. You know, that's like when Kanye started dyeing his hair. Kanye put the backpack on. Jimmy put the braids back in, man.
We need full emo. I want the whole emo fit on the court. Where the Bob on the court, Jimmy?
Well, if he does that, we will most certainly be right back here to talk about it on this channel. So until then, we will catch y'all later. Another video in the books. We'll see you then. Peace.
Go Rattlers. Go Kane.